Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, April the 14th, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Well, today, April 14th, features several unique observances, some of which many of us will get a kick out of. Today includes National Gardening Day, National Dolphin Day, National Pecan Day. It is also recognized as National Ex-Spouses Day, aimed at fostering forgiveness. I'm sure some of us get a kick out of that. There's also Look Up at the Sky Day, encouraging appreciation of the atmosphere. And I guess while you're fostering forgiveness, you can also look up at the sky and appreciate the atmosphere. You can foster a little forgiveness for that ex-spouse. Hopefully it wasn't that bad. Our G-List guest today is Dr. Kevin Kovacs and Miss Angie West. They're from the Dixon School of Arts and Sciences in Pensacola, Florida. That conversation will focus on education, creativity, and shaping the next generation. Okay, and we look forward to that conversation. So our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to the round table and talk to Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker and see what they got for us this morning. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing well, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you coming with your injury there? You coming along?
I'm still recovering. I actually go back to the doctor today, have stitches removed, so it's healing along fine.
Okay.
Still a little
Good deal.
painful.
What's happening in your world?
Well, Tom, I spent the weekend over in Atlanta, part of last week and the weekend over in Atlanta, helping to babysit during spring break, and got a chance to spend some time with my little 5-year-old shadow, my great nephew, Mozzie, and that's in my heart. I talk about him all the time, but he didn't want me to leave Atlanta, so I've got to get back over there as soon as see him. He was like, and again, he calls me on. We don't know where that came from. I was TT for several years to him, and now I'm on all of a sudden, but he loves his on and on loves him, so had a great time over there. Yes.
Good deal. Good morning, Michael Walker.
Well, good morning, TG. Good morning, Barbara. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. What's happening in your world, Michael?
Well, Barbara's got to go see the doctor and everything with those stitches. She took that left hook, I guess, from Gino Ariemo when he was swinging at dawn last week. I hope that the doctor that you're going to see is not the doctor from Warner Robins, Georgia. The surgeon from Warner Robins, Georgia. His name is Nar Martin. He was arrested Friday and accused of buying stolen cars for his rental business.
What?
Damn.
Yes.
He's a doctor and has a rental car business?
Yes. And so I guess in order to build out his fleet, he was part of a group that would steal these cars, and then he changed the VIN numbers on it and processed it to put another VIN number and then rent the cars out.
Oh, and my goodness.
He was arrested on Friday, and when he was first contacted by the authorities, he claimed to be a victim, saying that the Dodge Hellcat that was in his driveway. He paid $44,000 for it, and he was a victim when they found out he was really the head honcho of it.
Wow. So he had multiple cars he purchased through this illegal system.
Yes, cars from, I think it said from Charlotte to Chicago or somewhere like that. None were from Georgia, though.
Wow. That's something very interesting.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but
no, you cannot.
You know, things are getting a little bit shaky with the president. You saw that depiction of him dressed as Jesus?
He said he wasn't dressed as Jesus.
He said he's dressed as a doctor, didn't he, Michael? I don't know a doctor that dresses that way, but that's what he says.
Well, that's my point. All the pictures I have seen of Jesus, he was in robes and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
All the pictures that I've seen of doctors growing up, they had this white coat with a stethoscope around the neck, right?
Yes, yes.
And stuff. So I've never seen a doctor dressed in clothing and robes and stuff like that and putting his hand over somebody's head as if he's
telling you all, the man is sick. He really is mentally ill. I don't know any other way to explain it.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it is when they talked to him about it, he said he was it was as a doctor and stuff, and that's what he does. He goes, he heals people and make them feel better.
And then he took off on the Pope.
Yes. Oh, yes. I saw that, Tom.
Yeah.
Really? Not at all. Not at all. I mean, he's just a big bully. He really is just a big bully.
But he always backs down. If you'll just stand up to him, he backs down.
Exactly. Right.
And, he picked on these Iranians, and these guys over there, they'll fight back, man.
Yes. They're not playing with him.
And they're not like some of these universities over here that just fold it up like a pocket knife.
Yes.
When they came and asked me any questions. I got one for you guys. Oliver James. Oliver James is a personal trainer. He's a literacy advocate and motivational speaker. He has inspired others through his journey. At 32, Oliver James could not read. And he had been labeled a troublemaker in school. He was a troublemaker because he couldn't read. When he got to the point where he could memorize things, like, remember I told you guys one of my favorite blues singers is Bobby Blue Bland. Bobby Blue Bland couldn't read. Bobby Blue Bland could memorize the words, and then he could sing them back. But he couldn't read. But this guy ended up, let's see, he became tired of hiding it. His partner encouraged him to cast a wide net for help. And so he has written a novel, and he's 34 now. He's written a novel based on his story of not being able to read until he was 32. But I didn't realize this. 21% of American adults are illiterate, and 54% read below a sixth grade level. So we're talking about education today, and so I'm sure that this subject will come up. But he's accepted the challenge. He's writing another book. He wants to help others learn to read, and so on and so forth. And so it's just a very, very interesting story.
Well, how did he learn to read now that he's writing a book? Did it say?
Well, he memorized, and then he would have particular teachers, instructors to work with him. And once he got going, and enjoyed it. So he's having a good. But he said when he couldn't read and in school, he said, I was treated like a problem, and I became a problem. You know, and so the teachers that he didn't get along well in school, He said something that could be so simple as just filling out doctor forms, paperwork for schools, job applications. Those things became near to almost impossible. Can you imagine you go to your doctor's office and you can't fill out that little simple form that they give you, but you don't want anybody to know that you can't do it.
Right.
And so you hide it. That had to be pretty tough, man.
Had to be. And Tom, you talk about him, and there's so many kids that have discipline issues in school, and a lot of it is that's their problem. They can't read, can't write, and they feel threatened by that, so they become bullies or start to have discipline issues, and it's a lot of times the result of them not being able to handle their schoolwork.
Michael, you asked me how he learned to read. He learned to read using children's books as learning blocks.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
First book he read on his quest to read 100. When he learned how to read, he got excited. So he said he's going to read 100 books in a year. And he 1 year, the book he read was 365 Quotes to Live Your Life by I.C. Robledo. It was what inspired him to read. He wanted to feel the impact his partner intended when she gifted him a copy. The next book he read was The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. And though he made his way through The Alchemist and The Four Agreements, he cites children's classics as his favorite. An interesting story, an interesting man, and now he's out helping others learn how to read. He said,
amazing story.
It is.
He now he wants to go to college, not online, but in person. Says he wants to sit in a classroom with college students.
Get that experience of doing that. Wow.
He said, I want to put this to work. I want to start learning. I don't care if I even fail. I want to go to fail, to learn, to pass. His next reading challenge, textbooks. Unbelievable. Great story.
Wow.
Great story.
As much as I love to read, I just couldn't imagine not being able to read, and how you get past those elementary fundamentals.
Right.
Yeah. 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 Well, speaking of learning, a Swiss research team has restored learning and memory in aging mice by briefly switching on 3 reprogramming genes inside the neurons that are stored in memory. And this is happening over there in Sweden. And what they're looking at doing is being able to use that and help offset people that are affected with dementia. They're saying that dementia affected estimated 57 million people worldwide in 2021. And evidence keep building up. Check this out, that what we breathe, especially polluted air from traffic and fossil fuel burning, can influence dementia risk. And that's why the study is also a part to remind everybody that clean air can bring brain issues if we do not fix the pollution and what have you. And it's kind of funny. It says that a targeted reset for brain's memory trace. If you ever walked into a room and forgot why you went there, you felt a tiny slice of what memory slip can feel like. In the aging and in Alzheimer's disease. Say what?
How many times a day?
Right. I know what you mean, Tom. That's regular for most of us.
It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, what it says is, and it's kind of like what you're getting at, Tom. It says those with Alzheimer's disease, those everyday moments can scale up into serious life-changing cognitive decline, partly because key memory circuits stop working smoothly.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
That's something.
All right. Well, we'll see. I think I told you guys about the guy we had on the football team that coach sent the plays in with him, and he'd get halfway out to the huddle and stop.
He had dementia at an early age, didn't he?
What's he doing? What's he doing? Can we be waving to the coach? What's he doing, coach? I said, he said, forgot to play, man. You don't know what to play that game.
That may have been concussions, Tom.
Yeah.
Very well could have been. Okay, anybody got anything else?
I do. I have a really wonderful story I want to share with you guys. There's a young man out of Fairfax, Virginia, Heman Bakili. He's a 15-year-old student who was named Time's 2024 Kid of the Year for developing a low-cost soap designed to treat and prevent skin cancer. This soap he's developed only costs about $8.50 a pack, and it can basically cure skin cancer, which normally costs about $40,000 a year to treat with normal protocol. And the World Health Organization said there's 2 to 3 million people that are diagnosed with skin cancer each year. So this is going to have a huge impact. It's going to take about 10 years to get FDA full approval, but once it is approved, it's going to make a world of difference for people who are diagnosed with skin cancer. So my hat's off to this young man and his parents for working with him to get this accomplished. It's major.
So let me ask you a question. So this soap will prevent skin cancer? Is what it was?
It treats skin cancer.
It treats, okay, yes. Skin cancer.
There's nanoparticles in the soap that actually attack the cancer cells and actually can treat it just on contact.
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
That's great. Well, see, now the back part of this, you said it'll take 10 years to get FDA approval.
Yes.
Now that's a problem.
It is a problem. Yes. They had to go through all these clinical trials, they said, and get all, to me, it's a lot of red tape is basically what it is. And so you're right. He's 15 now, he'll be 25 when this thing is actually finished and approved. But yeah, the cost is going to be running as low as $8.50 for a pack of the soap.
And you say FDA approval?
Yes.
That's Food, Drug, and Administration, okay?
Yes.
So Big Pharma got something going on with that,
Probably,
all right?
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure, because it's going to cut into, their profits, because the medicine that they're now using to treat it will no longer be needed.
Yeah.
So Big Pharma probably has something to do with the delay in getting it approved.
Yeah, 10 years. Okay. Yeah, right. That's what I was getting at.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's 3 million people are affected by it every year, that's going to be 30 million people by the time they get it right. That could have been helped, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just checking.
You're absolutely right. You're on point.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for you guys? Let me say good morning to Pat Addington, our good friend over in Mobile. I talked to her the other day after the show. She's doing well. She had a stroke. She is on her way back, and I wish her well, and hopefully I'll get to go and visit with her sometime soon. So,
yes.
Pat, we're thinking about you, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Let's go to Sean. She's got a minute for us. Sean, you got a minute?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. It's Tuesday, so let's talk about something real. Have you noticed it? Have you noticed the way that certain things don't sit right anymore? Or the way your tolerance may be a tad bit lower than usual? Or maybe your spirit has been a little quieter, but with a lot of clarity. That is not confusion, it's alignment. That is your energy shifting. What you used to entertain, you're now questioning. What you used to chase, you are now releasing. And it might feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable maybe, but growth will do that to you. You're not the same person you were, and you're not meant to be. So if it feels like things are like falling away, go ahead and let them. It's fine. If it feels like you need more space, take it. If it feels like you're excuse me, it feels like your peace matters more now, honor it. Because when your energy shifts, everything that's not aligned will either adjust or exit. And either way, you're moving exactly to where you're supposed to be. So that's it. That's your minute. I want you all to go out and have a great day. And if you don't want to, then don't go ruin anybody else's, because they can do that for themselves. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
It was great. Yeah, that was really good. You just getting better and better. We're gonna have to figure something out. I may have to replace somebody and put you in their spot. How about that?
Yes.
All right, well, let's move on. So Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list. And our G list guests today, our G list guests, plural, are Dr. Kevin Kovacs, the principal, and Miss Angie West, Fine Arts Director at the Dixon School of Arts and Sciences. As principal and Fine Arts Director, they're leading the way in blending academics and the arts to create a dynamic, student-centered learning environment. Dixon School of Arts and Sciences is now accepting applications. They're in Pensacola, Florida. So let's hear from the people who run the Dixon School of Arts and Sciences. Good morning, Dr. Kovacs and Miss West. Miss West, I'm sorry. I hope you guys are doing well this morning.
Doing well, thank you.
All righty. Thanks for being with us. So we're going to start out with Barbara Wallace-Edwards. She always likes to jump in first, and she's probably got a question for you guys.
I do. Good morning to you all, and thank you for joining us. Dr. Kovacs, if you would just give a brief synopsis of the Dixon School of Arts and Sciences, the history, and so our viewers will know a little bit more about the school.
Sure thing. We are right here in Pensacola, Florida. We are kindergarten through 8th grade, private school. And I know you mentioned private school, but before people get the idea of who they think we are a school with mostly low-income students. They apply and they receive the income-based scholarship Step Up for Students. We're absolutely tuition free. So our busing, we have 3 buses and a minivan, and our food, breakfast, lunch, snacks, everything is absolutely free for students. So we offer a great alternative to, say, other schools in the area. One thing we do that's very different from most schools, in fact, most schools in Florida, is we have low class size. I cap the classes at 18, but most of our classes are 15, 16 students. And now with that, 15, 16 students, you can really differentiate. We have a lot more adults than to students. So you might have 6 or 8 adults who call a student by name, say hello, welcome them personally before they even get to class, before they even get to their first period after they've had their breakfast and what have you. So yes, we are doing some neat things. And in fact, our last name, Arts and Sciences, Dixon School of Arts and Sciences, we're trying to integrate those things, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Because you mentioned learning to read, and even you mentioned retention, and that had to do with retention, of course, of dementia patients or what have you. But when students learn to retain, it's not always what's on page 37. It's not always the standard way of reading. It is the arts. It's other entry points. It's using creativity to transform learning. And that's really my one little sentence, is using the arts to transform learning, using creativity. And that's what we're doing here at Dixon.
Okay. Ms. West, I think you deal with the arts primarily, or help me out here. I'll just turn it over.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you all for having us this morning. We're very excited to speak about what we're doing at Dixon. But yeah, so I am currently the music teacher here at Dixon. So I teach all of the students from kindergarten through 8th grade. As you mentioned, I'm also the fine arts coordinator. So that means that I'm going to put on the showcases for our students. We have productions. We just actually finished one last Thursday. We have a theme, which this recent one was the 90s. So we had 90s Rewind, and students are able to get on stage. We have lights. We have the parents that come in We invite the community, and it's a plethora of skills. We have choreographed dances, we have choral numbers, we have visual arts, we even have media and technology that are integrated in these particular showcases that are student-led. In addition to that, we also, of course, have visiting artists and artists in residence that come in and speak to our students. We recently had Pensacola Opera. They came in and did Opera in a Box. So our students who may not be able to actually experience that on their own time with their own families are able to have those experiences here at Dixon. And then lastly, I'm also the artistic director of our after school program. So we have a separate grant funded program here at Dixon, which is called Dixon After Hours Performing Arts Academy. And that is specifically for students who are interested in learning more specifically on musical theater. So we have separate classes for acting, for dancing, for singing, and for media. And then at the end of our semester, we put on a Broadway style production. So we definitely stay busy.
That's great. Sounds good.
When I say we found Miss West via our after school and summer program, Dixon After Hours. We get great talent. Pensacola has so many great artists, choreographers, music teachers, and Miss West came in and directed Lion King last summer.
Wow.
And she's just amazing. And we brought her in full time with us as our coordinator, fine arts coordinator, and of course as our music teacher. So we usually, and she's in fact directed our fall and our spring production right now, which is Once Upon This Island, which will be going up May 1, 2, and 3. So very soon, hardly a month from now.
Okay.
Wow. Well, let me say good morning. Thank you to both of you for being here. And first, I'd like to just commend you on what you've done and what you are doing. And especially Dr. Kovacs, you said that it's a school for underprivileged kids or kids that do not come from a lot of wealth, right, so to speak, but you're giving them the same experiences and perspective that kids, their peers that do come from a more wealthier background. You're giving those same experience so you can expand their learning. And so that's great. And that will make them be able to assimilate with other people, even though they may not come from the same background. And that's absolutely fantastic. I like that.
Could I say, 4 years ago, we applied for this grant through Escambia Children's Trust, which was to have this after school performing arts academy. Now, as we are reapplying for the next 3 years, we're including now a STEAM component, a science, a robotics, an engineering component. But just to go back to this 4 years ago, applying for that, the need was there for our kids who, while there were scholarships available to them in some of the area Pensacola theaters for children and choruses for children, families don't have a way to get to those things. Even if they say, hey, it's free, come on down, families can't really work that into their schedule perhaps, or transportation, literally the logistics of getting to and from. So we've been able to, in these years, create our program for any child in Escambia County, not just our students. It's for children in any public, private, or home school. And we also worked out relationships with some of these area downtown theaters and choral organizations to bus kids from our school and other schools to them. So many of our kids, not only they're going on perhaps their 9th play in these 3 years, whereas they might not have ever been in a Broadway style production. Now, some of them might be going on their 9th. We've done 3 every year for these 3 years. And they're also, some of them are still involved with, say, we get them Thursday nights down to the Pensacola Children's Chorus or Little Theater, because, without that transportation, they might not otherwise be able to do it. Right. Yeah. So we're really giving them that opportunity, but also reaching out into the community. We made such great friendships. We borrow often from these other area theaters, their costuming, sort of sets. We get help from them. We help them as well. So all these organizations, a whole lot of nonprofits looking out for kids are working together in big ways.
Yeah, yes, that's outstanding collaboration.
Yeah.
What my follow-up point to the way that you are going about this is that you're bringing in artificial intelligence and AI and stuff in this with the robotics, which is great because that's where we seem to be going, And I would like to ask you, what's your foresight into how senior citizens, people like us, need to get involved with AI? Because it seems like we're going to get left behind if we don't learn how to integrate and incorporate that. And that's for both of you guys.
Yeah. And again, on the cusp of boomer, I'm 60 myself, 1965. So I'm right there. I have that. It's inherent in me. I'm afraid, but what makes us not afraid is knowledge. So I'm very aware. There are courses coming out for educators, much younger than me, of course. There are courses that are out there like how to truly utilize AI without fear, and into how does it work with creativity? Because again, I was just having this conversation with folks from the Pensacola Songwriters Association. These are songwriters who are singing their own songs, who are published, who are getting their songs sung by very, very famous people. And they're out there competing with computer systems. They're out there and they have opinions about how songs can be just written by a non-human being and arguably can be hits or sound great. So that's what's infiltrating the arts, is their originality with AI. And I'm not sure. I have to learn more before I can truly form my opinion that, oh no, that's not good. Because right now my fight with AI is the kids are learning more than us, and they're faster at plagiarism than we can keep up, because we have to guide them toward integrity. And, right there in our middle school social studies, science classes and language arts, where they're writing papers, but this is a new technology, and why should I write it myself is the mentality. So we're really trying to guide them toward, one, how to truly use this new technology with integrity and in sincerity and honesty, but when not to use it, frankly, when to just learn how to write a 5-paragraph essay, when to know how to put an introduction sentence in there that's a grabber, when to know how to capitalize and put a period or punctuation. Right. Because we should all know how to form an email.
Right.
We should go to Chat GTP. But if that's something that might help us, I feel like we've got to, as people, set the structure first. We have to at least set the framework. But yes, I've got a lot to learn about it before I can say it's bad, because that would be the boomer in me. I've got to learn more and figure out how to integrate it truly, and also learn enough so that I can keep the kids on the right track.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I would say it's really about balance. I'm 38. I have a 9-year-old, and he's been coding since he was 4. What I always tell my students as a middle school teacher specifically is that I'm a music teacher, but I'm also here to teach you critical thinking skills. And so if you're able to learn the why and the how behind the AI, it's going to help you balance it a little bit more. For instance, every boy wants to play a video game. And so in my household specifically, just to give you an example of how I kind of integrated that balance, I told my son, you want a Nintendo? No problem. You have to learn how to code. You have to learn how to make the game before you play the game. And so that's kind of my tactic on how I approach even with music. So this week I'm teaching the ukulele. I had to require my students to watch the video on how it's learned, or how it's actually made, how the instrument is made. And so if you can trigger a flame of creativity and thought process to ask the why, sometimes you can slow down the need to get the quick answer. Starting your classes off or starting conversations with students on how do you think that works, or how do you think Chat GPT gets these answers? It creates a conversation with students that allows them to dig deep and use the critical thinking in order to find the balance. So I think it's a little bit of both. AI is not going anywhere. Yeah. And then even in my class, I have music journals that I require every week. So I will put on the old Ella Fitzgerald, the Sarah Vaughan's, and then we'll listen to those old original artists, and then we'll listen to an AI artist or compare it and say, can we tell the differences? What differences can we hear? So we really kind of have to slow down and just use critical thinking as a tool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Can you hear differences?
I can specifically. Some of my students have not really
had a lot of exposure to the classics. So I played them, for instance, Ella Fitzgerald, video from 1968. So to be able to see something that was, wow, was this really recorded in that year? Yes. Showing them and letting them listen to vinyls or listen to records so that they're able to tell the difference. I think we almost have to take a couple steps back before we kind of give them the comparison. So I can hear the difference in some of the songs, and I'll be honest, some of them are really good. Sometimes it is very difficult to tell the difference.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal now in the Actors Union because they're able to, I don't even know what the word, duplicate, or in other words, they can put, what do you call, I don't know, they can put somebody up who looks like me, who's not me, and they can use, and that person can do my job.
Right.
So it's it's a huge deal in a lot of the industry, and it's a big deal right now in the acting talent business. How we'll go from here and so on and so forth. So we'll see.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it appears that the way that you guys are going about this and setting your curriculum, we were talking earlier about the young man that couldn't read and he was labeled a problem in school. The way you guys are going about it, you're keeping it interesting so that people that maybe have what you call attention and deficit disorder or a hard time focusing on something, you guys are keeping it moving and keeping it fun so that they learn at the same time. And perhaps I think you're overcoming anyone that may have had an issue like that as far as attention deficit disorder, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd like to say students fall, between the cracks in a larger setting. You might have a larger institution, a larger school. You might have then to that a classroom with larger class size. And the teacher is a human being who's doing the best they can, in the public setting. And they really might not be able to address that student individually. They've got a whole lot of sheets of paper about that student. They've done a lot of testing on that student, and they've got all the labels for that student. But sometimes it's very hard to get to. In fact, they've got perhaps all different personnel with different titles who are able to, meet with that student throughout different parts of the day. But I think it really comes down to relational, and as a smaller setting, it's not rocket science when you've got a smaller setting and then a classroom that is even smaller setting, and breaking that down into even small group learning styles, which is great. Kids in different centers learning in small groups. You can't help but build relationships, and relationships are truly the key. So a student with ADHD or a student with oppositional defiance, they might have found that's how they got attention in other settings. Or maybe somebody wasn't able to just sit down and be patient enough. But I think here, kids will go where you lead them. And if we lead them to a setting where the arts can help change their perspective of who they are, the idea is they have bought into their label and they now perceive themselves in a certain way. So we can put all the curricula out there and all the great instructional materials, but it really does mean helping a student to change the way they perceive themselves as a learner. That really is the first thing. We can tell them all kinds of things, but giving them an opportunity, giving them a stage to help them change how they perceive themselves as a learner. And then it's almost like magic. It's almost like overnight, because I can think of a student who in 6th grade was the shyest young lady there was and didn't want to say a word in class, certainly not speak out loud, read out loud, or read, say what she had written for her class. But now is a product of several theater productions and is often one of my main go-tos when I go out into the public and I need some of our students to come speak to 100, 200 people to come speak. Would you come to this church or would you come to this event? And she's one of my go-tos now, who this is the result, the magic of theater and what brings that out. And to your question, it really is that transformation. I don't think it was all of the stuff that we did, but the combination helps the child to change how they perceive themselves as a learner. And that's really it. We're setting the stage. We're putting, I mean, literally setting the stage, but also figuratively in all the things that we're kind of offering as they walk through the door. And it comes down to relationships, but then they are able to, over some time, change how they perceive themselves as a kid who learns. And hopefully it becomes a love of learning. And it trickles down because I've got to get through my day. I've been an educator for 32 years, and I've got to love what I do. I have to have fun, and laugh through it. And I hire people who are the same because it trickles to the teachers, and happy teachers make happy kids. And that does have to trickle down. You know, again, they'll go where you lead them. And I like to lead them to a fun place. You know, I've got kids who stop me in the hall and they say, do the scuba, which is this thing. You know, and
Yes.
you can't see my legs and I'm not standing up, but there's a whole dance part to it. And then sometimes I got to say, no, we've got to do the silent scuba because, you know, we got to have quiet time. We're walking in the halls. And so now some of them say, do the silent scuba. I'll take that. And then next month, it'll be something different. But, you know, got to build the relationships.
Well, I'll piggyback off of that too. In addition to the relationships, studies have shown that the performing arts assist development, cognitive skills, critical thinking, social economical skills, and problem solving. And so it's hard to teach children when they are dealing with a lot. As we just said, we have a lot of underprivileged kids that aren't here. And so giving them a tool to be able to express themselves is highly effective. You know, if I start a class and half of my class is slumped over, posture's off, you know, we may need to play the djembes. Are we angry? Let's get a drum out. Let's release the thought of negativity so that we can focus. I mean, as adults, we don't want to do anything we don't want to do. Like Dr. K said, you have to love what you do. And I think the arts just gives us a tool, an extra tool in our bag to be able to say, hey, if I can't reach you this way, maybe you're not auditory, maybe you're not, you know, going to get this visually. Maybe you need to physically do something in order to help you learn. And that applies to every subject. I've taught my students how to memorize dates in history class. We sing parts of speech. And so how to be able to rap or apply the arts to different areas of your life in order for you to be successful has been so helpful.
Right.
And I know that you all have an upcoming fundraiser. This is your biggest fundraiser of the school year. Let's talk about that. Dixon Dub.
We do
Yes.
indeed. Dixon Dub has been an annual fundraiser. And then Dixon Dub took a couple, I think 3 years off because of COVID. And we've been back. This is our 4th year. And it had been initially a lip sync competition as the Dub, Dixon Dub lip sync competition. And the past year, this will be the 2nd year we've incorporated live vocals. So we have several acts, and half of them are live vocals and half of them are lip syncing. And the lip syncing, you know, will be that comedic component of the evening. The live vocals, my goodness, we've got some talent lined up. We've got our first place winner from last year ready to sing this year and keep the crown, and not just a crown, but there's a whole lot of good money and prizes. There's the first place, second place, and third place prize. There is the first place is a whole weekend at the Pensacola Beach Hilton down there on the beach. And the second prize is either $1,000 or $800. And then there's other prizes in there as well. So it is fun. It's not competitive, but hey, we want to show, we want to give back. It's also a big time fundraiser. We hope to make $60,000 to $80,000 because it really is. I mentioned that we are tuition free, and I base our budget on the income base on the scholarship system because we don't charge another tuition to students. So we do have to kind of work that out somewhere, and we don't have a lot of major gifts. I hope that as we grow in the community and people really know us, especially through what we're doing with all of the musical theater and with our robotics team, and people see our plays, I hope that we can reach out to the folks who have, you know, deeper pockets and have kind of that major gifts component, donations. But right now we are very much grants based and what we can do with fundraising. So Dixon Dub is this Friday, and that's going to be at the Rex Theater, which is a beautiful old theater downtown, historic. And it's 6 o'clock, 6 to, who knows, 9 o'clock or so. This Friday, the 17th.
Dub, D-U-B, Dixon Dub.
Yeah, yes, and that's kind of because it was a lip sync competition, but now it's live vocals and lip syncing. We have some performers from the Songwriters Association who play live around here in Nashville. They're coming down from Nashville to be in the show. And we have some local talent who are going to be in the show. Miss West is going to be singing with some kids. And then we have some lip syncing and dancing going on. So much of the lip syncing is dancing. And then there's me. I've been Elvis as a part of this competition. My wife and I have been the Blues Brothers. And this year, it's, I won't reveal. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. But for me, it really will be a parody with some fun props. And hopefully a very fast 3.5 minutes. Because by mid-song, I might be out of jokes and out of breath. The song is still going. And I'm not really one who remembers to do all the good stuff and lip sync. So I reserve the lip syncing for my partner. My wife will be doing that. And we're going to do something again together this year. But there are actually usually about 6 or 8 people. And again, a lot of fun and a lot of talent. We want everybody to come on out. It's a really fun night.
I'll be down in Mobile this weekend. I might try to get over there. So how do you how do you get
and the Rex
for
Theater
this
right downtown? Right. You can plan like a dinner after the fact, 8:30, 9 o'clock, make a reservation downtown somewhere. You can come to us. Well, we've got food and drink as well. We've got adult beverages because it's a family event, but we are serving the Coca-Cola and the adult beverages and food. And people have either sponsored buying tables or they're buying tickets as we speak. But it really is. It could start somebody's evening, or it could be one's night from about 6 to 8:30 or so.
Right. Wonderful.
Hey, TG, I don't know if Dr. Kovacs probably is having more fun than the kids are.
Sounds like it.
It does.
That's a good day, and that's often, but they've got to see us. They've got to see educators modeling that.
Yeah,
sure. They do. Because again, it's hard to still love what you do as an educator. Yes. And I often get teachers from the public schools, and it's not any district in particular, but the districts ask different or more of a teacher than I always have, because I went from public to public charter to private, because I wanted that autonomy. I wanted to create sort of an environment where teachers can remember why they became a teacher. Right. I do feel we're called to this role, and people stay in it in spite of some of the challenges, of course. But, you want to have an environment, and I hope we do that at our school, where teachers can remember every day, the passion, why they became a teacher to begin with. And kids see that. Kids see somebody who's not just punching the clock, who, and again, they've got to see me having fun, because that's for me the best defense. Engagement. Them seeing me having fun is them who are going to make the right choices even when they think you're not looking.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Angie, I want to ask you a question. Do you have a dual citizenship? You were born in Germany and you grew up in the U.S. Are you a dual citizen?
Unfortunately, I am not. My dad was Army, and they said we didn't think you needed to have both. So no, and I have not been back to Lunch Dual since, but it's in my future. I'm still young. Plan on taking my kids there and traveling, but I do not.
Okay. Well, that would be very impressive if you had a dual citizenship. You're German and American, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite language to singing is German. I absolutely love the German language. So I do listen to a lot of German music, but not yet. It's on my list.
Okay, I was going to ask if you spoke German, so you just answered that question. Yes. Okay.
Sing.
Dr. Kovacs, I went to a private school, Catholic school, for 12 years in Birmingham. And actually I went, 12 years because I went to high school as a private school as well. My dad always had an extra job or two so that he could pay the tuition, because it wasn't tuition free.
Right.
But it was wonderful in a way. Now we had nuns, so they wasn't dancing around in the halls. They wasn't having any fun, I don't think. Yeah. It didn't look like it anyway. We were having fun. I don't know if they were having fun, but it was great, especially the high school. I didn't want to go to that high school. I wanted to go to the neighborhood high school where all my friends were going and stuff. And my mom was the dictator, and she'd gone to private school, and so that's where we had to go. But it was great. It was wonderful, and the first public school I went to was college, and it was very different from private school. I can tell you. I didn't know people would steal from you. Actually go in the room and steal stuff, and it's like, man, how did you do? Why'd you take my stuff? That's not yours. And but it was great, and I enjoyed it. But it didn't sound like you guys. It didn't sound like you guys' private school. It sounds like it might be a little bit more fun than the one I had. But it was great. So.
Yeah, you can do, again, as a private or a public charter, you can do things a little differently. We have obviously a great deal of compliance to the state. So, but to the things that matter to the kids, you can create a very different environment. Something I think of often, and I'll tell the teachers too, it's that phrase, be the teacher that you always wanted, or be the teacher that you always needed. And I don't tell people often, but I was one of those troubled kids. I was kind of either lost or acting out, seeking attention in the wrong way. And then once I sort of stopped seeking attention in the wrong way, I just got very quiet. I didn't get my first degree, my undergraduate degree, until I was 27 years old. And then I didn't stop because I was an insecure child who didn't feel I was a good student. So I didn't have confidence as a student. And it really took somewhere around, 5 colleges in, 25 years old, to decide, what? I like learning, and there's nothing wrong with me. I can learn, like the folks who were learning how to read. It was the same idea, but, just a little further along, I'd learned to read, but you don't find the student in you until perhaps somebody brings it out. I wish I had a program like we have. I wish I had a music teacher like we have. But I feel like if there are kids who are feeling lost, we're able to reach them, which is very, very helpful. I'd rather reach that child at 10, 12, 13 years old. And those are hard ages, 12, 13, 14, middle school. Oh my goodness, that's a hard time. But, you be the teacher that you wish you always had, and now I hope I'm the principal that I felt I always needed, and now, you want to be that for somebody, which really does take listening, because as Miss West said, they come in with obstacles, with issues, with problems that we don't know. We can't get them to open up the book and start the chapter really until they are teachable every morning, until they're ready. It might be that they're hungry, but it might be more than that. It might not be as easy as that. It might be that they saw violence that morning or the night before. And so they're coming from some very difficult, traumatic places. So our teachers, and again, like Miss West said, we've got to be sensitive to that. We certainly can't expect they're going to come because it's 7:40 a.m. ready to open the book and get started. We've got to kind of feel them all out. We do a lot with social emotional learning here. Our guidance counselor, we do a lot with a program called Leader in Me. It's all very much character building, and that just helps. But it also, I think, helps us educators, the adults, to remember, I can't expect something. I've got to do like a little check. I hope they check each period of the day or each little transition, check their class, check the kids individually, kind of do that climate check to see who's on. Some might be a little off because something happened at recess. 5 minutes will get it right back on track. Ignoring it, we're lost for the day.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Angie, let me ask you a quick question here. You directed a play called He Calls Me by Thunder, and that was inspired for the 14th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham. Would you speak about that, please?
It was amazing. We did that production when I was in college. Kevin Kern, who Mr. Gossam knows at UWF, came to us with this piece. It was a very small cast. It was about 5 or 6 of us. And we ended up creating a family based on this real historic piece. I'm from New Orleans, so everything I do has cultural intention when it comes to the arts. Everything is a story. I absolutely love history. And watching, of course, the Spike Lee documentary, Four Girls, when I was younger, I knew the story very well. And so when Mr. Kern came to me in college and said, Angie, you think you may want to be a part of this? I was like, yes, I'm canceling everything So I was not only able to be featured as one of the girls in the production, I also was able to insert some music into the original screenplay too, which was really, really cool. But it was an amazing piece. It was the first piece I probably did theatrically that I was able to see that everyone was affected differently in the audience. Sometimes we always think of theater as things that are going to bring joy and laughter and we're all going to feel good. And so that piece was heavy. It was very heavy. It was able to be a teachable moment for many people in the audience. I believe one production we actually did a Q&A as well, just so people could learn a little bit more about the historical information and leave them walking away with something more. But it was fantastic.
Great.
That was great. The one of the girls who was killed we were about the same age. Her dad was our milkman.
Oh, wow.
I got to spend a lot of time with him after I graduated college, and I was working for the phone company, and and he had a magazine he started called Down Home. And it was really for people in Chicago and New York and other places and it was about the South. And so, whereas a lot of people had moved from the South to the North, this was a way to connect. And so I would go over in the evenings and work on the magazine with him. And there were a couple times when he just, he couldn't handle it that day. Mm. We couldn't do it that day because the memories. And I just don't know. I don't know how he did it, man. I really don't know how he did it. To see your daughter lying there in that rubble. Mm. I'm grateful that we had the relationship we had. He was a wonderful guy. And anyway, I'm sorry.
But it's important for us to keep those stories and that history spoken. And what I'm finding as an educator is our youth, especially African-American youth, they don't know a lot about these stories. Right. What has actually happened. You spoke earlier about AI, what's real, what's fake. And so every chance I get in my classroom, as my students can definitely attest, I have those moments, those historical conversations. What do you think your great-great-grandmother did during this time of the day? What do you think life was like before you had an iPad? Right. What do you think some of the hardships have been? We see it in current events, but historically we've seen it throughout time. And so it was a very hard production. I remember the actors, we would just cry. I mean, we just got to this point where we just wanted to kind of like go into ourselves because we had gotten so deep in the stories and did so much research that it really affected us for a while. But it was a beautiful piece in the end. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? You guys got anything else you want to share that we didn't ask you?
Well, it's been a pleasure. It really has been a pleasure talking with you all and getting to talk about our school. I certainly love it and could talk all day about our school. But I do want to remind people, come on out Friday for Dixon Dub, our fundraiser. And then that first weekend of May is Once Upon This Island, which is something of a Caribbean version of The Little Mermaid. Is that right?
Once on this island, yes.
Once on this island. And oh my goodness, the talent that Miss West and the rest of our team bring out of the kids is just amazing. People come who don't have kids here, of course. We just had a show for Black History in February. And again, people come who don't have students here. And I heard Monday morning, they were talking about it from one of the church pulpits, because the neat things they're doing, you talk about keeping the memories going and just the emotions. It was such an amazingly emotional show. And that is what we want. We want people to be talking about Dixon. Dixon goes back to 1953, A.A. Dixon, named after Albert Augusto Dixon, one of the first African-American medical doctors here in Pensacola. And we've got a legacy, we've got a history to preserve and to respect. And to, it's our job to honor that every day by doing the good work here at Dixon. So when the community comes out to see our shows and their only connection is because they're community, that to me is the greatest compliment in the world. We want to just keep that going for the community.
We have a question from one of the audience that wants to know about your website, so they can look you up.
Dixon School of Arts and Sciences is the best way to just Google that. Dixon School of Arts and Sciences. Join our social media, Facebook or Instagram, Dixon School of Arts and Sciences, and all the things that I speak of, even enrolling at our school. And we have a kindergarten open house coming up Saturday, April 25th. Those things are on our website, or just call the school, Dixon School of Arts and Sciences. You can call our front office and they will give you my cell number. I give everybody my phone number. I want us to be accessible. You know, I always have. I want to make sure that parents and the folks in our lives know how to reach the school. And so if I'm the only way to it, I'm the quickest way to it, I give my number to everybody. But we're enrolling right now. But yeah, for them, just Google Dixon School of Arts and Sciences. You can get our website, our social media, or call our front office.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else?
Wanted to say thank you for joining us. It's been great. I appreciate it.
It's been a wonderful discussion. And I will say that I had the teacher that I wanted to have, that I could have imagined. She's passed now. She was awesome. And probably the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of her. She was awesome.
That's great when people have that story. It certainly is. And you hear it often. You sure do.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. It was wonderful. And I want to come to one of your productions.
Yes, please.
I'd love to. And my wife and I will ride over one evening. And
I will have tickets for you and reserve seating for you wherever you in the front. Once on This Island is going to be a very different production. I was in it at UWF, and it is, again, historically based, culturally very relevant. So you would love it.
Or we've mentioned visiting artists. We've mentioned folks coming in residence, just to, if you ever want to come by and set some time to talk to our students or eighth graders, it would be profound, and it would be open up thinking for them that they might not otherwise have.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. It's like I said, it's what, 40-minute drive or something like that. So that would be.
And then we'll all go to the Five Sisters.
Now you got a deal. Thank you guys so much. It's been absolutely wonderful. And we appreciate it. I appreciate everything you're doing for those kids. You know, it'll make a huge difference in their lives, where they go from here. You can't unlearn what you've learned. You can ignore it, but it's hard to unlearn what you've learned.
Right.
So true. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's been great.
Emily's got their contact information. What's happening? What's happening?
I thought you were going to do your closing remarks.
Well, I was, but she shut it down.
Well, okay. All right. Okay. Well, that was good. I enjoyed that.
That was good. They were great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
One of the so how did you guys like? I figured you guys would get a kick out of
Hey, we're still live.
We're still live.
We're still live.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, let me go on and do the closing comment then, and we'll go from there. Closing comment for today, April 14, 2026, is a day featuring various observances. I mentioned several at the top of the show. National Pecan Day. I didn't realize that the pecan is the only native nut to the United States. Yeah. Look it up. The pecan is the only native nut to the United States. There's also, it's also Look Up at the Sky Day, National Dolphin Day, The notable events include Ben and Jerry's Free Cone Day. You can go to your local Ben and Jerry's and get a free cone today. That sounds good.
That
And it's
does
also
sound interesting.
ex-spouses day. And I think several of us know about that. And so we'll just let that go.
Yeah, we're gonna let that be.
And that's our show for today. Unless somebody wants to comment on ex-spouses day.
Leave that alone.
Okay. All right. Well, it was a great show. It was. They were just very enlightening, and what they're doing with those kids is just absolutely wonderful. And
Absolutely.
I would like to go over and see.
I
I think,
really may try to check out the Dixon Dub this weekend.
yeah, it sounds great. I've never heard of the school.
Me either.
That's just probably a reflection on me more than anything. But anyway, okay, so that's it for today. Thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-list guests, Dr. Kovacs and Ms.
West.
Ms. West. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team of Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And as always, a special thanks to you in the audience, in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Pat, if you're on, we appreciate you being on. And that's it for this April the 14th in the year of 2026. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. You got an extra smile, give it to somebody. Just might make their day. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Don't let a day go by that you don't take the time to make your life or somebody else's life better. Stay safe. Blessings. Peace.